Hey everyone, in this video we want to take a little time to talk to you about pausing when you get into negative situations or situations that you perceive as being negative. And that's because a lot of times there are emotional reactions to these types of stressful situations. And these emotions and the thoughts that we have in the moment come from a history of trauma, conditioning, experiences, and potentially faulty belief patterns that have been developed over your lifetime. I mean, there are a lot of really kind of
cognitive distortions. We all have them. A lot of people get really defensive about that, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I do not do that. We all do it. I tend to fall into black and white thinking often. You look at things catastrophically, right? Those are our personal bad cognitive patterns.
Well, and we talked about this in a previous video on ants or automatic negative thoughts, and we talked about some very common ants that permeate into everyone's mind and, you know, ways to think differently about those situations. Black and white thinking, which is kind of like there's no in between when really there is. And then catastrophic thinking, which is just making things bigger than they actually are. And pausing, it gives you a chance to kind of pull your thoughts back in and evaluate them
objectively
and see if they
or
are
more objectively. Nothing is truly objective.
yeah, and just see if that's really kind of how the situation is. And I mean, there's a lot of things that go into influencing how we perceive situations because we're very sponge-like when we're younger, right? So if you grew up in a household, for example, that put marriage on a pedestal, then you're going to have certain belief patterns around marriage and monogamous relationships
and divorces
and that type of thing. But just because you have a belief paradigm around something doesn't make it a fact. And oftentimes, you know, there are, as Nietzsche said, there are no facts, there's only interpretations. And so when you get caught into these moments, pause, reflect, because the way you think, you know, more than likely, the way you think isn't going to be the only way to think about it. So why think about something in a way that causes you stress and anxiety?
Exactly. Wayne Dyer writes some good books, The Power of Now, and it helps rewire your brain into a more positive mindset too.
Yeah. So I kind of want to give them I want to give the listener something to walk away with. What are some ways that they could just generally work on expanding their viewpoint?
Yeah, so what I do, I'm in nutrition groups because that's my interest, right? And so I'll put myself in keto diet groups. Why? To see what they're saying, because I don't want to get so stuck in my own bubble thinking that I'm right. I want to see what other people are saying, right?
So it's like purposely exposing yourself to the...
And I don't do it to be contrarian, right? Like, I don't go in there to argue with people. I mean, I do debate some people sometimes, but that's not the purpose of joining these groups for me.
Yeah.
It's more just to have different viewpoints popping up in my newsfeed, so I'm not formulating my own bubble of information that confirms my own biases.
Yeah, I did that early on. I don't really do it now anymore, but I definitely did it early on. And, you know, what was fascinating for me, I think, was that because I knew I didn't agree with these groups, I wouldn't argue with people because I knew that I would just be arguing. Instead, I would just ask questions to try and well, it was twofold. I wanted to see what their reasoning was, but I also wanted to see if they've ever had to explain their reasoning.
There's a book on that too, The Art of Arguing or something. I can't remember the exact name, but it teaches you how to ask questions instead of attacking.
Yeah, and what amazed me was how many people would get upset or offended when you simply ask a question. They would, you know, automatically assume you were dumb or that you were attacking their belief system, and all you're doing is asking them to explain.
And the reason why people do that is because they don't even understand it usually. Yeah. And so we get defensive and our ego puffs up when we don't understand something because we think, what if they have the answer? So let's get defensive, right?
Yeah.
That's just once you're aware of it, you can spot yourself doing it better. And so I hope this like brings some awareness to people. Another thing you could do is you can expand your education. I'm constantly taking online courses. Like I can't remember a time in the last like 10 years that I wasn't doing something like as far as like taking a college course or an online class. Online classes are my favorite now because I can do it at home.
Yeah. Also, usually there has to be a financial investment, and that can be motivating to follow through with it.
Yes.
Because most people fall for the sunk cost fallacy. And so if you,
I do.
yeah, right. If you pay for something, it's paid for. It really doesn't matter what you do with it from that point forward. But most people feel like they need to do it anyway because they paid for it. It's sunk cost fallacy. But it's motivating, and so it can help you stick through it.
Yeah, something else you can do is you can surround yourself with well-educated people that have different viewpoints and have been more experienced in the world. Not in the same subject matter that you are, like hanging out with your grandma and grandpas. Like, they've been around a lot longer. Yeah, some of them have crazy ideas, but usually there's nuggets of wisdom if you don't fall into the black and white thinking where if they say one thing wrong, then everything they say is wrong, which is never the case.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. That's how you can expand your
Yeah, so basically the whole point
worldviews.
of those things was to help you expand your worldviews, to challenge your belief paradigms, and challenge the conditioning that you grew up with. And the hardest part of all of this, putting yourselves in those situations and expand your viewpoints is easy, but actually when you get like stressed out or you get into a perceived negative situation, hardest part's implementing it. And, you're not going to do it. You'd be able to do it every time. We're sitting here literally talking to you about this, and we still screw up all the time because it's just a learning process.
Well, it's something that you practice to get better at. Like, it's not something that you just know when you're better.
Yeah, exactly.
And every day is a practice day for whatever.
Yeah, so just
For
pause.
life.
Pause. Think about the thoughts and emotions you're having, and ask yourself if that's really the only way you could look at the situation. And maybe you'll be able to find a more positive viewpoint on what's happening. Or at least a viewpoint that doesn't stress you out as much. Anyway, if you like this content, then great. That's what we're trying to do. And if you know someone who you think could use the information presented in this video, then please share this video with them.